My name is Johannys Acevedo, and I'm a couples and family therapist and drama therapist. And last time, if you join us, we talked about the creative art therapies and how they are an incredible outlet to really explore from, issues in relationships to trauma, right? Like the whole spectrum. And so I'm excited to be here again and just share. Um, a practical tool that you can have in your toolbox at home to check in emotionally with yourself. So that's what we're doing today. Something simple. If you have children around the house, if you're a parent, feel free to invite them to join you because this is something that it's for any age, right? And kids love colors, and so giving them the prompt, just draw if they're old enough about how you're feeling today. So we're gonna explore a little bit of where we're at. We're gonna check in with our emotions. So just quickly, the way it's gonna go, we're gonna have around 50-20 minutes for you to work and find within yourself what is it that you want to explore today. And then towards the end, we're going to just talk about what you did. You're gonna write some answers to some questions just to process, and then we're going to close. So we want to honor your time. We know some people are during lunch, and so we're just thankful you're here, and we invite you to really take advantage of this moment and really explore more about where your emotions are today.
Right. So
Mhm.
basically, we're going to have an arts and crafts session.
Yes, yes, with a little twist.
Okay. I like
Yes,
the little
yes,
twist.
yes, 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 yes. Yes, we're gonna
So,
give it like a depth to it. But yes, arts and crafts, it's a good name.
all righty. Well, then, do you want to take the lead and just kind of
Yes,
like if I was you are my therapist. I'm sitting down for a session, and we're
yes,
all going to take your creative arts therapy.
yes. Awesome. So the first thing that I like to tell people that are about to engage in a creative art therapist intervention is to leave judgment and perfection and focus on the product at the door. Because this isn't an art class. We're not gonna learn technique or how to diffuse watercolors or how to make pastels look more bright. We are just going to explore ourselves. And so what this paper is going to represent is your canvas, your emotional canvas, right? Like this is going to be a mirror of where you're at today. And so that's the first thing that I invite people to recognize, just to leave things at the door. And the reason we're doing this, Cindy and I, we were talking, after the last live, I think some people, may want to know more about what happens during a session like this in
Right.
order to take the initiative to maybe make an appointment. And so today that's what's going to happen. It's going to be one thing that I want to clarify. This is not going to substitute what you're doing with your therapist already. I don't want you to think that this is going to triumph for that. And so this is not a therapy session, a real therapy session. And so it's important for people to know that um, this is just a tool we're providing for you to use it at home. And so that if at any point during the art process, you feel like, ooh, a lot of things are coming up for me. I don't know how I'm feeling right now. I want you to take care of yourself and just maybe take a step back and say, okay, maybe this is not the day for me to finish this. There's more that is coming out that I expected. And so put it away and maybe come back to it tomorrow. And then process it with a safe person, with, your partner or a friend. So that way, you don't push yourself too far. Um, so, and the reason we're doing this is because we live in a time that our emotions are neglected a lot, whether intentionally or unintentionally, whether it's the business of life, whether we really want to ignore them because they're too painful to look at, we tend to ignore them. And so we were created as emotional beings, and so we cannot function as only physical beings because we're missing the mark, right? And
Right.
then that's where mental health comes into place, because we are ignoring a huge part of ourselves. And so when we push it down, it comes to this because it will come to the surface, right? It comes to the surface in ways that may not be super healthy or super helpful.
Right.
And so that's what we want to do this. That's why we want to do this, to provide you with an opportunity to take a look at yourself. And maybe that's not only going to help you, but it's going to create for you maybe compassion for yourself, but for others, thinking like, oh, maybe they're not in the best emotional space today. Let me be kind. Let me consider where they're at, you know. So it really created an awareness, not only for us, but for others as well. Yes. So,
Love that. So we're creating emotional boundaries. So you are setting, reminding us all to create an emotional boundary for ourselves if we feel kind of maybe emotionally triggered or we've gone too deep and
absolutely.
we're not really sure,
Mhm.
to just kind of sit back and kind of
Yes.
take a
Yes.
pause. You could
Yes.
continue later on, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If this was a real therapy session and I will be with the client, depending on the client, I will maybe push the client and just tell that client to take a step back for 5 minutes and we would explore what is that feeling? Why is that coming up for you? Why is this hard? Why do you feel like you want to run out the door? You know, what is coming up? And we will have time to explore that. And maybe a thing like this will take 3 4 sessions for that client, you know, to complete it. And so today we're condensing that and doing it like in a micro version of what will happen in a real therapy session.
Okay.
um
Love it.
so yeah.
Super
Okay,
excited.
so I'm so excited. I'm really excited to do this. So, and the other reason we chose to do it is because while creative art therapy is a big umbrella and it includes like most of you that were at the live learn that is drama therapy, music therapy, dance therapy, but drama therapy, dance therapy, those are therapies that should be done in person. They have the most benefit when you are in a room with that other person and doing that. So, art therapy is one that can be done in this way, virtually. And so, I love drama therapy too, but for today, because we cannot, I mean, it'd be awesome if we could all be in the same room. We can't. So, this is what we're offering for today.
Love it.
So, I'm gonna be looking at my time schedule stamp because I want to make sure we honor people's time and yeah, we stay within that hour that we said. So
Thank you.
right now, if you are ready, you guys can go ahead and grab your materials, grab your paper. I have
Have my
here,
paper.
yay! I have watercolor pencils, which my kids are loving. They're so good. I'll share the link with Cindy and she can share it, but they're just so good because you don't need the actual palette. They already have paint in them. They're wonderful. You just need water for it. And there's pastels that you can use too. So any crayons, color pencils, markers, whatever you have in hand, works for today.
And
And then your paper. Yes.
I just want to let other people out there know that I just have computer paper
Yes.
and my
Oh,
pen at
oh
my
yeah.
desk. That's
100%.
all I have. So
That's
this
it.
doesn't have to be fancy. It's like whatever you have on
No,
hand. This
whatever.
is just make it convenient, right?
Yes, 100%, 100%. The reason I have these is because my kids love art and they are obsessed. So we have all the things because they love it. And so that's why we have these kind of things. But absolutely, thank you for saying that because whatever you have, even if it's like, yeah, a pencil, a pen, anything that can write, you can use today. And then your paper, if you can have two papers, if you only have one, not to worry, you will write on the back, but we will make a like a writing prompt at the end. So you can either use a different paper or the same paper. It doesn't matter. Um, but before we start, I want us to just ground ourselves because maybe some people are coming back from lunch. Some people are about to, I don't know, after this, pick up their kids from school, whatever it
Right.
is. But I feel like a breathing exercise always brings us back to our bodies. And we know that when we take deep breaths, our brain calms down because we tell our brains, you don't need to be in fight, flight, or freeze mode. You're safe, you're okay. And so we're telling that to our brain. So the first thing I want you to do is to put your hands on your legs, your palms on your legs. And then if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes or have a soft gaze, focus on something in the room you're in. Um, and feel your feet on the ground. You don't have to take your shoes off. If you're in a coffee place or don't take your shoes
Are we
off, not necessary.
going into
Just
meditation mode?
I know. Yes, right, yes, right. I mean, I love not having shoes. Like most of the time I don't have shoes, but right now if you have them, it's totally fine. Just feel how the ground is supporting you. So as you're doing that, feel just the blood maybe coming through your legs and going down all the way to your feet. And as you're doing that, take a deep breath and try for that breath to be a breath that is not on your shoulders. We tend to take deep breaths and we do like this, but leave your shoulders where they are. They don't need to move. Just if you want, this helps sometimes. Put your hand on your belly and feel your belly rising and dropping. And that's how you know you're taking a deep breath. So let's just all do it together. The next thing I want you to notice is the chair you're sitting on, or maybe you're sitting on the floor, maybe you're sitting on your bed, wherever you are. Just feel the support, feel the support of your chair, of that space that is supporting your body right now. Just notice how it's holding you, how it's embracing you, how that chair or the floor is not letting you fall. You're safe, you're grounded right now. And as you're doing that, take another deep breath. And slowly think about what your intention is for today. You don't have to, if you want, you can say it out loud where you're at. You can write it if you want, but just be aware. What do you want to take away from this today? Sit with that for a few seconds. Take another deep breath. And if your eyes are closed, just start coming back on. Open them slowly. If you're in front of the sun, your eyes may be like, oh, what? What happened? Like me. So I hope that felt grounding for you. I don't do this. You would think that, oh, she's a therapist, she probably do this every day. I don't. I have 3 kids, they're all boys. I run sometimes in like very little oxygen. So doing this, it really reminds me to slow
Right.
down, to pause and consider the reality. And the other thing that I don't want to forget to say is that when we do this exercise, the power of it is in the externalization. So we are putting our emotions out of ourselves, and that gives us perspective. That helps us see our emotions at face value and be like, oh, okay, like this is what's going on. And the art really kind of talks back to you, because a lot of the subconscious is being used when you're creating art. And so try to let go of any ideas. Maybe you were like researching, like, what do I want to paint today? Let go of all of that and just let your hands take over and your subconscious to take over.
Okay.
So what I want to invite you to do first is ask yourself, like I said, what's your intention? What are you feeling today? And what does that feeling look like? If that feeling has a color, what color would it be? If it has a shape. So the first thing is to create a container. So that container can be a circle, it can be shapeless, it can be whatever shape that kind of speaks to that. I'm going to invite you to create it first. So we're going to do that first. So choose, if you have colors, whatever colors. If you don't have colors, maybe just focus on the shape of that container. My dad always used to say, go with your first thought. And I always regretted not doing that when I was in school because sometimes I would change my answer. But go with the first thought. If the first color that popped up was red, grab that. If it was blue, just grab that. And so go ahead and do that. We're going to take maybe like a couple of seconds to just create that
So
container.
right now we're doing a color with the shape, right? Or we pick the
Yes.
shape and then we're picking a color.
Yes. like this is what I'm doing. So this is going to be my container. Inside here is where I'm going to put my emotion. But this is already talking about, you can tell about what's going on, right? Like, so this is going to be part of your end product. But we want to create a container. So those emotions feel now. You may say, oh no, like there's some things that are outside of this, or I don't feel that my emotions are contained today. So maybe don't do it. So whatever feels true for you right now, that's what you do.
So what happens for those like myself? Right now, I only have a black pen.
Yes.
Can I write the color, like write the color that I'm thinking of, like the word?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, that's a great idea. And like I said, if you don't have color, just focus on what shape you're making. And also where in the paper you're making your art. Because that also speaks volumes or where we're at of where we're at. Sometimes we use the whole paper, sometimes we only use a little corner. And so as you're doing that, as you're creating this part, just notice what's coming up for you,
Okay.
if anything. So, and always try to be breathing. Try to not forget your breath. Thank goodness, we can breathe automatically, but most of our days we go without awareness of our breath. So,
So
try to focus on that.
Johnny's,
Yes,
sorry, I want to clarify.
yes,
So can our container have two colors? Can it
absolutely.
have, it can have two
It can
colors.
have
So it doesn't have to have
anything.
one.
No. And so that's the power of this. So I can imagine that some people did their container without a lid. So maybe it's just like a little bowl, and that's perfect. So there's not right or wrong way of doing this. This is literally whatever comes up for you, whatever you're creating, that's what you need to be doing right now. And so that's why I'm not giving any other prompts. Like this is the only prompt. Like if you feel like you need a container for your emotions, then draw that. It can be any color, it can be any shape, it can be any texture, it can be fragmented. Maybe you do dots to create your container. Um, and the cool thing about this is that the emotional check-in you're doing today, it will be different tomorrow and the next day. And so it's going to look very different. So today, just be, yeah, just be aware of what's coming up for you as you are creating that container. And so, the next thing is I want you to think about, and like Cindy said, you could also start thinking about words. So maybe you're instead of colors, you're filling that container with words today. And you're just writing words all over the paper about what are you feeling, and maybe you're connecting those words or you're crossing those words, whatever it is. But I want you to now fill your container with the emotion that's coming up for you right now.
So any kind of emotional words like happy, sad, mad, glad,
Anything, anything,
angry, whatever.
frustrated, disappointed. This you can be disappointed. You can be nervous. You can be happy, joyful, depressed, anxious, grief. You can, and if you don't have the word for the emotion, write whatever that feeling, whatever word comes up for that feeling. For example, like maybe that feeling is connected to a person, and so you write the name of that person.
Oh, wow.
Maybe that emotion is connected to a situation. You're moving, or you are getting married, or you are going through a divorce, or you're deciding, I don't know, which school to put your child, or you were diagnosed with an illness. Whatever it is that may be connected to that emotion, you can include it there.
Okay.
And it's going to be as powerful as if you're using colors. I love when words and art come together because I think it's a continuum, right? And that's what we're doing a writing prompt at the end. And if you have any questions, please put them on the chat. And as we're doing this, we have other people that can also help answer questions, but don't stay with that question. If you have questions, please feel free to put it there. And
Okay.
so as you're doing this, if there are any words that are coming up, feel free to write them, and continue to check in with your breathing.
Okay. So if your container just is almost has too much, what does that Is that okay? Like I
Yes,
have too many things to put in my container.
you can either you create another container or you put them outside of the container, because that in itself says something about where you're at right now, right? Like the fact that it's overflowing, right? And it could be, it can be looked at positive or negative. It doesn't necessarily have to be negative. It's like there's so much that my container is overflowing with emotions. And maybe those emotions are hard emotions. Maybe they're like awesome emotions, or they're a mix, which is usually what it's at. We're never completely, you know, angry or completely happy. We're always moving through that spectrum all the time. And so if your container ran out of space, you have a decision. You can be like, I think I'm going to stop here. Or you can be like, there's still a lot that I need to bring out. And so you can do exactly that.
Okay. How fun.
Yes, I know this is one of my favorite things to do, because I think it really helps people. Number one, kind of like, even if people are nervous about, oh, I'm not good at art, they're still willing to try it. And so when they do, so much comes up. And my favorite part is the checking in, the processing, and for people to kind of look at their art and be like, oh, this is what I think this means, because there's no right or wrong way. My favorite thing to do with clients is exploring what they see. I'm always so curious, like, what do you see? What is this
Are you
telling you?
doing, sorry, are you doing this with your clients at the same time, or are you just watching them?
That's a great question. It depends. I think for some clients, if I do it with them, they may become self-conscious of what I'm doing.
Me.
And yeah, yeah, I will be that client too. So sometimes I say, I'm just going to be here. I'm just going to be reading about other things that we're going to talk about today and writing on my journal. And as you're doing that, if you have questions, I'm going to be checking in with you. Are you comfortable with that? And then there are other clients that are like, I don't want to do this alone. Please do it with me. And so we step together into that process. So it really is very base case to case. Yeah,
Got it. Got it.
that's a great
Okay.
question. Yeah, yeah. It's really awesome to also me being a couples and family therapy, doing it with couples or families and seeing each of them having the same prompt. Say they're coming to therapy because there was a diagnosis of an illness, or they're going through a very big life change, and you give them the same prompt. We're gonna, make a drawing about specifically this, and just to see how each is so different and unique. It's awesome. So take about like maybe 3 more minutes to find a place to stop. And when I say stop, I don't mean this is done. Um, this is something that you can continue to work with throughout the week. So you can keep adding layers. Something super cool that we do also in our therapy is composition. So it's something that happens throughout. I mean, some people, they work on the same thing for a month or 2 months, and you see it's like a living thing. You see that work growing and evolving and changing. And so it's really wonderful. And so if you feel like you're done today, then great. If not, leave that close to you. And whenever, and one of the invitations we're going to do at the end is just to challenge you to do this more often, to maybe do
Oh,
this. If not, if once a day feels too much, maybe once a week, and having that time to just check in emotionally with yourself. So take about 1 more minute.
so, Johannes, is it
Yes,
normal to feel a little anxious? You know, if I was doing this by myself, I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm doodling, or they're just words. But
yes,
knowing that you're a practitioner and you're going to
yes,
look at this later, I have anxiety about it. But
yes,
it's not a judgment about you. It's just a judgment actually about myself. Is that
yes,
a normal kind
it
of
is.
reaction and feeling? It is.
It is for two reasons. The first reason is that you are bringing out what is in. And so sometimes around our childhood, we learn that our emotions are not safe to express. And so we learn to internalize them and keep them very, very hidden. Or the other side of the spectrum, you're called too dramatic, you're too emotional, you're always crying, whatever it is. We learn somehow that our emotions are not safe to share, or we never had a person to do that. And so it's normal when we are invited to look at these emotions and create awareness of them, to feel that, to feel like, oh, this feels not comfortable at all. Like this is vulnerable, because it is. You're bringing your inward process
Right.
outwards. And then the other reason is that we're used to being judged for everything,
Right.
right? Like in any role you're in, if you're a mom and you choose to breastfeed, you're judged. If you don't, you're judged. If you're choosing to go to work, so there's a lot of judgment. So I think we bring that into the therapy room, and we are constantly judging ourselves. Am I doing this right? Is this how I'm supposed to do it? I don't think I'm doing it right. And that voice is always there. And so those two reasons, I think, are the biggest reasons for feeling anxious and just uncomfortable with a process like this. So you're not alone.
So that voice in your head that's always like, should I be doing this? Oh, I think I did it right. That whole conversation that you have with yourself.
Yes.
Pretty much everybody has that, right? That's a
Oh, yeah.
healthy behavior, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
hope so.
Absolutely.
I hope
Absolutely.
so. Otherwise, I'm crazy.
No, no. Well, if you are, we all are, because this is like, it should happen. You should have, because that protects you. Like, that's actually a defense mechanism that you have to make good decisions, and to differentiate from something that's safe and it's not. So you want your brain to do that. You want your brain to ask those kind of questions. Is this okay? Am I doing this right? When it becomes not a problem, but when it kind of becomes an obstacle in growing, is when you stop doing things like this because of that feeling. When you
Um,
kind of like hold yourself back and you're like, that was uncomfortable, I'm not gonna go there ever again in my life, right? But if you're able to see that feeling for what it's like, children fight, and then 5 minutes later, they're like, my boys, they like fight, and then they're like, I love you, and they're on top of each other. And
right.
so it's the same way, like it's like, I don't like you emotion. I don't like what this is. But knowing that this is who you are, we cannot separate and compartmentalize our beings. We bring all of ourselves, our spirituality, our emotional self, all of it. And so seeing it for what it is, saying, and not ignoring it either, right? Like being like, oh yeah, I didn't like that. Like you're saying, like, I feel anxious. I feel like I don't really am enjoying this. And so you can make a decision. Am I not enjoying this because this is not safe and it feels threatening to me? Or am I feeling anxious and nervous because this is making me grow and it's showing some things about myself that I need to look at? It's like, I think I said this last time, but it's like a headache. When we have a headache, our bodies are telling us that there's something that needs to be done.
Right.
When we're uncomfortable looking at our emotions are telling us, look at me. Like, you gotta look at me so you can bring this out and then walk through it.
I
Because when it's in, it's really hard too. It's all tangled up and not we're not able to see it for what it is.
I
I hope
like
that
how you
answered the
just
question.
said that oftentimes I feel that it's something that I'm anxious about because I'm going to learn something about myself and grow. But I'm not really sure if it's going to be something that I like to hear
Yes.
or like an aha moment or
Mm-hmm.
like, this, I have work to do. And I think
Yes,
often that's a very human thing. It's not
it
always a
is.
really negative thing. It's just sort of like, oh, okay, I've got more work to do, or, oh, that's
Yes,
interesting.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, absolutely. And I will say too, there are some times that you need to maybe wait a little to look at that because it's truly very painful, right? And so there's no judgment in that. There's no criticism or feeling like there's sometimes that we're not ready, and that's okay, you know. And but knowing like I know that this is there and that I need to look at, but I'm not ready. And so understanding that you can always come back to it.
Right.
And it's like grief, grief is something that we redo every time, every developmental stage, every big milestone. We are grieving is a lifelong process. And it's the same way, with any other emotion. Like we're constantly discovering more about ourselves.
Right,
So,
right. So I wanted to check in with the others out there
yes,
in community and find out, what are you guys feeling? Are you feeling anxious? Is this like really exciting for you? Is it
yeah.
overwhelming joy? Does it bring you back to your fifth grade? I mean, like, what are you feeling?
Yes.
Just write in some notes and a little chat there. Just like,
Yes.
what are you feeling?
Yes, write it
Love to hear
down.
from
We
you.
will love, yeah,
Love
we
to
will love
hear.
to, huh? Yeah, yeah. What is it? Did you
Oh, I
say
would say
something?
I was just saying that I'd love
Oh,
to
yeah.
hear.
Yes, yes, yes. Me too. Me too. I would love to hear because it's so different for every person, for
Right.
every single individual. It's so different. Even like, you know, whatever you are in your life stage, like this is gonna be so different what comes up, and that's why I'm so emphatic in being in this moment because I tend to be either in the future, like all the things that I have to do that are ahead of me, or what happened in the morning, right? What happened earlier. And so being present allows for you to know that your emotions are important. It's
Mhm.
important for you to look at them. It's important for you to take time and consider, why am I snapping out all the time? Why am I not sleeping well? Why am I um, just constantly thinking about this issue? What's going on? And asking those questions, it's self-care. That's caring for you, and understanding that and bringing that into the light really is a gift for you and it's a gift for others as well.
Right.
Do we have anyone? Okay, so this is what mine looks like. And, understand that I'm judging myself right now. I'm like, do I want to show it? No. Will I show it? Yes.
I'm happy
But really,
to
like,
show
when
mine.
yes, just share yours, Cindy, share.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
if
So,
you want to, yes.
yeah, yeah. So this is mine.
Oh,
This is black and red, and then the other one is black.
okay.
And I feel like I'm in the crossroads of these two lately, and my intent was, how do I find more balance in my life?
Mm, yes. Yes. Wow. That's so cool. I love how you did. Do you want to share more, or do you know
Sure,
why you
sure. Like, but
put one, like the two triangles in different
um,
shape, in different
well, one of those food charts where it's the food chart, the
a
pyramid,
pyramid?
and
Oh
I felt
yeah.
like I'm always on that food chart, in life, kind of like trying to evolve, trying to go someplace, trying to carry on, and kind of like a checklist, I guess you could say.
Yes.
But I feel
Yes.
like my checklist is sloping down in here, and
Mm,
in the words in here, it's actually, this is the part where I'm kind of embarrassed a little bit, but it says overload, too much, too many things, overflow. I have lots of work in there, mixed joy. And then
mm,
everything up
mm,
above is like, oh, can you say love and joy, laughter, sunshine, family, friends,
mm,
wanting more of that. So I feel like I'm kind of caught in the two worlds and I don't know how to find the balance of both
mm,
right now.
mm. I'm curious, what are the words that are in both in both what do they call those diagrams? The Venn diagram, Venn diagrams where in the middle like they meet and it's like they're both in this circle and in this circle and then in the middle they collide. What are the words that are in both triangles? Can you see what
Uh,
what words are shared by both triangles? Some
mixed
of them
joy,
if you want to share. Okay.
mixed joy, overflow. But I feel like that's overflow on both sides. Like it's too much work, but then it's so much happiness. It's like
Yes.
but there's no balance in there. It's just one or the other.
Yes.
It's like black or white. There's no gray,
Right.
right? I think that's what it feels like.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
And what you're saying is that you would like to have more of that gray, like find a rhythm where both triangles kind of like become one and you don't feel pulled on one or the other direction. Is that?
Yeah, but I feel it's unrealistic. I feel that's utopia. I mean, we're always striving for more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but sometimes that triangle just flips the other way sometimes because we're striving so
Mm-hmm.
much. Then you recognize like, oh, I'm off kilter, I'm off balance.
Yes,
And how do I get
yes.
back on balance? Because then you're going downward again. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yes, yes.
right.
And recognizing that, I think recognizing where the triangle is tipping down and being like, okay, and it's all about what we want for our lives, right? Like, what do I want my life to look like? And is my life looking like what I want it to look like? And so, in that, like doing something like this, taking a step back and being like, okay, I can see this for what it is. I have a lot going on, but I can also recognize that I tend to be able to balance these things. And there are moments that I don't. And then being like, okay, what does that look like? And what are emotions come up for me when I'm not able to feel like I'm checking all the boxes? And who is expecting me to check all the boxes? Are these my own expectations? Are these other people's expectations? And so asking all those questions really helps us understand more of, art like that. I am so impressed that you did all that with just a permanent marker. I'm like, wow. Like really, like that was really awesome. Really awesome. I have a question for you. So, and this is for everyone. Um, I'll just share mine really quick. So this is what I ended up creating.
Okay,
And
so
I don't even know what is
what
it.
it looks
So, oh, here we
like
go.
is that sunshine? What's in the middle?
So,
I can't see the words.
so there's no words.
Oh,
There's just
okay.
color. Yeah, there's just color. And when I look at it, what I see is that all this is pushing, and so this is about to burst. And so what I see is
Ah,
that all the things that are in here are not able to be contained for much longer. And I see here that this looks a little lighter than the rest. And I'm like, maybe that's gonna be the light where everything falls apart. And so I didn't even know this is what I was thinking when I was painting it. But looking at it and taking a look, I'm like, okay, that's what this is telling me, to maybe take an assessment at all the things that I'm doing, and maybe make a bigger container or have less things to put in that container. So
oh,
I
I
think that's what
love
I'm.
that. So
Yes,
that is a
yes.
choice. That's a conscious choice where we have to make a decision. How do we take, can we fill, do we want to fill up more of our container or do we want to take some things out, and how to sort those things out
Yes.
is right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And it's huge.
that,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah,
big
and so
decision. That's a
mhm,
lot.
yeah, yeah. It's not easy because I feel like whatever you do, you feel like you're letting something down or someone down, right? And
Exactly.
understanding, like what I was asking you, like, are these expectations my own, or are these put on me by society or by my past or by, and so assessing that, it's very helpful to make a decision of what can I take out of here that's going to make this container, not like a pressure cooker that is about to burst.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. So this is the question as we're closing. Just think about, look at your art, and think about that. Think for everyone that's here, and welcome to anyone that continues to join. Look at your painting or your art or your words that you wrote, and ask yourself, and this is where you want to write some things, and you can write it right next to your painting if you have space, or in a different page. So you want to ask yourself, what do you feel when you look at it? What does it feel like looking at it? Do you feel peaceful? Do you feel angry? Do you feel frustrated? Do you feel confused? Do you feel hopeful, excited? um, do you feel defeated? What do you feel when you look at it?
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking, what a great exercise this is.
What did you, sorry, I lost you for a minute there. What did you say?
Oh, I just was raving about what a great exercise this is. I mean, it's such a good insight on your own
Mm-hmm.
psyche, and
Mm-hmm.
it really is. It's a great insight, just where you are at this moment.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the whole point of it. It's for you to, because I think when our emotions, and we've talked about this before, are just in our heads and we don't really recognize them, they just get louder. It's like, I'm just gonna get louder, so you pay attention to me and you do something about it. And of course, as a therapist, I'm gonna say, go to a therapist, find help, but not everyone is there yet, right? Not everyone is ready to open the Pandora box and go in the deep rabbit hole of their lives and explore every single little thing. But doing things like this can build up that confidence, or that kind of yeah, that confidence and that bravery to pick up the phone and ask for help, right? And really find someone where you can explore more of that, because there's
Right.
so many layers to our emotions, and we know that our primary emotions and secondary emotions, and we always live in our primary emotion being angry, but there's so much on our secondary emotions, right? All the subtext, all the underneath um movement that creates that emotion. Like for anger, usually the secondary emotion is like shame, or feeling left out, or feeling that you are not heard. But because being angry feels that we're in control, that's what we show. We show anger, because then you respect me if I'm angry. If I'm like, you know, feeling shameful and I show that, our thought process is that you can take advantage of me. And so exploring all that and bringing it out and externalize. And that's why I love creative art therapies, because it allows you to, like, I don't know, really see things for what they are without really to talk about it too much. Like it's so cool too, because if you ask someone how you're feeling, they're like, I don't know. But if you ask them like, would you be willing to just right now? They'll do it. And this in itself creates kind of like that prompt for us to talk, right? Like it gives you a talking point um to start. So that was the first question. What do you feel when you look at it? And the second question is, what do you think the art is telling you? Like, as what message is this art conveying to you?
If I'm looking at mine, I think it's the first word popped in my head, but it doesn't make really any sense to this, is like slow down or maybe organize myself better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if the art will be talking to you, be saying, hey, Cindy, let's find ways to organize all these things, or let's find ways that you can slow down. Um, and what would you say to your art? What's something that you would say in response to what the art is telling you?
What would I say to my art? Like if my
Mm-hmm.
art was a person?
Yes, like let's personify it. So the art, you feel like it's telling you to slow down, to maybe organize, like that's the message you're receiving from it. What will be your response to that message?
Mm, okay, I'm gonna try to think about like if my art was my best friend or my husband or
Yeah.
something like that,
Yes.
so
Uh-huh.
that I could have a face on it. I would probably try to look for ways, or I would probably tell myself to not only organize, but look at how um, to find prioritize and then get rid of things and find value in those just maybe four things or one thing or whatever it may
Mm.
be. But if
Mm-hmm.
if you're too full, then you're not going to be your best self. I think that's what I would tell
Mm.
my best friend or
Mm.
my Yeah.
That will be the response. So you'll say, if your art is telling you, hey, I'm here to tell you to slow down and I'm here to tell you to organize, you'll say, okay, I think the way I can do that is by prioritizing, by choosing 3 to 4 things that are very important and taking a look at those and putting them um, in the priority they need and then going from there. Is that
Yeah,
maybe
that's about right. I know it's harder doing it. That's the hard part. I think that's kind of what I
yeah.
recognize as like, well, how do you choose that? How do you prioritize that when you
Mm-hmm.
think when you feel there's no room to give? So,
Yes.
but that is the
Yeah.
journey. That's why we
It
come
is.
back to you.
It is. It definitely is. And knowing that, like not expecting that. I think sometimes when I speak for myself, I go to therapy and I expect that all my issues are going to be resolved. And I always tell my clients, it's gonna get harder before it gets better. It's gonna get uglier before it gets prettier because you're shaking the pot.
Right.
You're bringing out really sometimes, I mean, and think about this may sound like weird, but think about when you leave something like a bowl, a lunch bowl in your car. You forgot about it, right? And on Monday, when you want to get that bowl, you go to your car and it's been like the whole weekend under the Florida sun and it stinks, right? Like it's smelly, you don't even want to open, you want to just throw the whole thing away. And so it's the same with our emotions. When we don't look at them, they ferment, right? Like they just stay there and they start creating roots of other deeper emotions and bitterness and unforgiveness. And so the reason we want to attend to them is so they don't develop those roots that are harder to bring out, right? And so this is something that needs to, I mean, I wish more people knew that therapy is not for crazy people. Therapy is not for someone that is about to take their lives only, right? It's not only for people that are on the verge of divorce. It's something to like when you go to the gym, right? You go to the gym or you work out every day to keep your heart healthy, right? On the for the long run. It's the same. I always say it's so much easier if you come to therapy when you're in a good place because you're gonna have the tools to attend to your situation that became really hard already in your toolbox versus in that whatever situation that is really hard trying to develop those tools. You're already going to have them there, right? And so let's not let our emotions ferment in that bowl and let's look at them and bring them out.
I love that analogy. So therapy, um, okay, I'm going to paraphrase this. So
Yes.
therapy, the purpose of therapy is really to enhance yourself
Yes.
and enhance the way you think and the way you communicate so that you could problem solve just a little bit clearer. Or
Yes.
is this correct? Or,
There's so many reasons why people go to therapy. And I think when I think about it, I feel like it comes down, like if we will go to the basic of the basics, we have a need as humans to feel love, seen, and heard, right? Like those are, when we don't have those things in our lives, it's hard to show up in a way that is healthy, that is complete, that is true to how we should be showing up. And so I think people go to therapy to find that sense of I am
um,
loved, I am heard, I am seen, and I can show up in the world. And from that place of being loved, heard, and seen, then I can take on whatever is going on, right? And so that's why it's so important, to understand that therapy, if your therapist is looking to fix you, find a different one, because that's not the role of therapy. The role of therapy is for someone to walk with you so you know that you're not alone in this and to provide that space that you may never had in your life of knowing like it makes sense that you're feeling like this. You just lost your mom. You just had a miscarriage. You just lost your job. You just found out that your husband was unfaithful, your wife was, whatever it is, you name it. There's so many reasons, but to know that for someone to validate what you're feeling, it's normal. Like you should be feeling that way because look at the evidence, all the things you've been through. But not staying there, understanding like, but you can take ownership of this and you can develop the tools, the resiliency, you can reconnect the neural path in your brain to heal and become the person you want to become. That was
Right.
a really long answer, but that's that's what therapy is to me, I guess.
I love that because what I recognize in what you were just saying is that therapy is very brave. Therapy is
Yeah,
a belief that you could be more, you could do better. So I
yeah,
think it's a very brave step. Um,
it
and
is.
it's kind of hard to think of it as a strength. You know, it's not a, it's, you're not going to therapy because of a weakness. You're really going to
Yes,
therapy because you're brave and you're looking
yes,
for a strength. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's so good. That's yeah, and I think that's exactly it. It's knowing that it's not because you're broken, it's because you recognize how valuable you are
Mhm.
and you want to live from that place of understanding your value and who you really are. So yeah.
Love that. Well, Johanny, seriously, what a wonderful treat to have you. And I hope everybody out there finds so much value in this and looks at their life a little bit differently and opens up a different point of view and perspective.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you again. And thank you for those who joined us.
Yes.
And have a wonderful day.
Yes, thank you for joining us, everyone. If you have questions, feel free to either message me or Cindy, or yeah, Cindy has a wonderful newsletter too that you can be part of. And so we're always sharing the things we're talking about here there too. So yeah, thank
Yeah.
you for coming.
Yes, a reminder, everything's in Spanish too. That's why Johannes
Yes,
is a big part of
yes,
that. She's creating that. So
yes,
thanks
yes,
again. Love and light your way then.
yes. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye
You
bye.
too.